So you've made it to Philadelphia. Now what do you do? Good Monday morning, everyone. I'm Jeff Whitaker. Welcome to your Monday morning Jumpstart. And if you've been with us over the last several weeks, and especially last week, you know what that was a reference to. If you weren't, last week we talked about how you get to where you want to go, the pathway to success or the pathway to reaching your goal. Each Monday we gather to talk about leadership, personal growth and development, and communication issues. And last week we talked about taking a trip. I used the analogy of wanting to get somewhere and how I had talked to a friend and they said they just didn't know where to start. They didn't know what to do. They felt paralyzed when they were trying to reach a particular goal. And what I said to them was, let's pretend you're taking a trip. And I'm based in New Jersey, and he is in New Jersey. And I said, let's say you were going from New Jersey to Ohio. And you knew how to get to Philadelphia. You just weren't sure what the best route to take would be after you reach Philadelphia. And I said, so what would you do? And I said, do you know how to get to Philly? And he says, yes, I know how to get to Philadelphia. I said, then go to Philadelphia. He said, then what? I said, well, then you check your bearings, and from there, you look at what the next step would be or the next leg of your journey would be. So if you've made it to Philadelphia, you've taken that first step in your journey toward your goal, you've reached out, now what do you do? Well, H. Jackson Brown said, rule number 1 is to take the first step. Rule number 2 is to take one more step. And if you don't know what to do then, refer back to rule number 1. So that's what we've been talking about, taking those steps. Some of them are giant steps, some of them are baby steps, but they are steps to get you where you want to go. So we want to talk about what you do. How do you decide what kind of move to make, keeping with our analogy, once you get to Philadelphia? Well, there's several things you could do. If you had a map, a physical map, you could look at that. If you had a GPS, you could look at that. If you wanted to, you could pull into a service station and ask someone, or stop at a restaurant or a store and find someone who's familiar with the area and say, how do I get out of Philadelphia and on the path to Ohio? And hopefully they would know the roads from there and be able to take you to the next step. So applying that analogy to your personal life and to your career, what would you do? Well, Paul Martinelli, the president of the John Maxwell team, puts it this way. He says that you should jump out of the airplane and you should build your parachute on the way down. That's really the same way of saying what we're talking about right now. And that's, you kind of not make things up as you go along, but you learn and progress as you go along. What Martinelli would tell you is that it's important to have a plan. It's important to have an idea of what your goal is and where you want to go. But here's the thing to keep in mind. Momentum has a strange way of creating more momentum. And a lot of times we get paralyzed. We're stopped at step number 1, or maybe we're stopped at step number 3, and we're looking around and we feel like we can't move. And what Martinelli would say is to jump out of the plane and then create your parachute on the way down. In other words, the momentum you get from just simply taking that next step will then miraculously, and you have to experience this to really realize the truth of what I'm saying is, but miraculously what will happen is as you take that next step, then suddenly the next step will appear, or the direction toward the next step will appear. So if you've made it as far as Philadelphia in your journey, if you've taken that first step of trying to reach your goal, then what you need to do is, first you need to analyze and kind of recalibrate in a sense that make sure that the goal that you're headed toward is really who you are. Make sure you're not trying to live out someone else's dream. That's the worst thing that you can do. Someone was corresponding with me the other day about some personal coaching, and they said to me, I'm really not sure about what I want to do. I really don't know what direction I want to go in. Well, that's the perfect time to bring in a personal coach, someone who can look at your life from the outside, ask those important key questions of you to help you decide where you want to go next. And this kind of reinforces what we said a couple of these episodes ago when we talked about knowing that instinct that you have inside of you, that really most of us know what we should do. It's having the courage to take that step in order to do it. And sometimes it takes that outside force. It takes the questioning of someone else or someone else's interest and accountability in your life to get you to answer that question and to get you to make that next move. So if you're looking to reach a goal, what I would do is make sure, as I said, that you're living your dream and not someone else's dream. Make sure that it's something you're cut out to do, something that you really want to achieve and that you find reward in. And then take that first step. Take that second step. Look for outside resources. Find someone who's been where you want to go and then draw on their experience. It may be through a book. It may be through mentorship. It may be through an individual that you know, a friend that you can reach out to physically and say to them, hey, I want some advice on where I'm headed. How can I get there quicker? How can I get there more effectively? And you'll find that you can really benefit from someone's experience, someone who's been where you want to go, and they've been there before you. You can avoid some of the pitfalls that they experienced. You can avoid some of the setbacks. And really save a lot of time and a lot of energy and glean wisdom from someone who's already been where you want to be. So that's just one of the things you can do in order to move closer to your dream. Right now, here at the Jeff Whitaker Company, we're working on a personal growth seminar. It's based on the 15 Laws of Growth by John Maxwell. I'm a member of the John Maxwell team, and so I teach his material. And we're going to be offering that personally here in New Jersey in the coming weeks. And if you're interested in participating in a class like that, where we look at these 15 laws and we analyze them and we draw upon the information that we have that's out there already about ourselves, information that we know already, and then we draw the resources of other people who've been where you want to be, and then we map out a personal growth plan for you in the next 12 months. Here's the reality. You may be in a situation right now where you're in a career change. Maybe you've been forced into a situation not of your own doing where you find yourself without a job. Maybe you have a life change. You're ending one career, getting ready to start another, or you have some personal things that you want to achieve. You just don't know how to go about reaching them. We're going to help you do all of that. And we're going to do that in a class that I'm going to be offering in the next several weeks. So if you're interested, drop me a line at info at jeffwhitaker.com. And I'll be happy to get back with you and let you know when we're going to be having that course, where it's going to be offered, and how you can participate. It's going to be open to a limited number of people, but it's going to be a great opportunity for you to see some personal growth. You know, every year along about New Year's, people make those resolutions and they say, I'm going to do this or that, and I'm going to achieve this in the new year. A lot of times, people need to do that other times of the year as well. And it really doesn't matter. There's nothing magical about the first of the year and getting started on a personal growth plan. So if you're interested in getting started on a personal growth plan and you would like to meet with others of like interest where you can mastermind together and we can learn from each other, then we'd love to have you participate. Again, drop me an email at info@jeffwhitaker.com and I'll tell you more information about that. I hope this has helped you. I hope it's been an encouragement to you this week. And a reminder, I want to leave you with this. I posted this in social media this past week, and I think it's so true. I got some great reaction to it. But nothing original about this thought, but it's something that helps me all the time. And it's this thought, that most people never achieve their God-given ability and their God-given achievement that they really can achieve in life, their God-given significance. Most of them don't achieve it. You know why? Because they stop just short of when they would have achieved that goal. And we don't want you to stop just short. A lot of times people get discouraged along the road and they find out that if they'd gone just a little bit further, they would have made it. I want to read you a quote from John Maxwell's book called Put Your Dreams to the test. He says, Robert Peary, the gentleman who attempted to reach the North Pole, attempted 7 times before he finally succeeded. Oscar Hammerstein produced 5 shows on Broadway that were flops before staging Oklahoma, which was seen by more than 4.5 million people during a record 2,212 performances. And many of you have probably heard this before, that Thomas Edison failed in his attempt to create a workable light bulb 10,000 times before he finally created it. And look at what we benefit from today, because he had the tenacity to keep going just that one step further. So take that first step, then the next one. Keep going. Don't give up. Don't quit. And I hope you'll consider joining us for our upcoming course. I'm Jeff Whitaker. Thanks for being with us, and I do appreciate this time that you spend. Give us a thumbs up, thumbs down if you don't like what you see, but spread the word. I'd appreciate you sharing this video with others and commenting below and telling me what you think, and maybe sharing some of the dreams and the goals and the visions that you have for your life, some of the things you'd like to achieve. Until then, have a great week and go out and make a difference.